Okay, for the agenda for the call today, there's three main things that we want to cover. All were either major initiatives or Moonwell adjacent updates for May. That'll include updates on Mamo, on Anthias Labs, joining Moonwell as a risk manager on Base. Those updates will come from Luke. And then we'll also cover new Coinbase collateral assets and opportunities. I think that'll come from next MIMS, and we'll finish with our regular updates from Gauntlet. So amazing to have you guys here as always. Yeah, and of course, if there are any other topics that you guys want to embellish on, feel free to do that. And yeah, if we're ready, Luke, I will kick it off and throw it over to you if you're ready.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And Gmamo, as we've been saying, first, I just want to thank everyone for being a part of the community. As always, your participation in governance and your, just your energy and your enthusiasm really resonates with me and helps the entire team kind of stay focused and stay building. And, we couldn't be more excited to kind of share all the good news with you today. Some of you have been asking, what is Mamo and why does Mamo exist? And I know it's maybe a bit confusing. Mamo just launched about a week ago, but I wanted to just explain really quickly for those of you that don't know what Mamo is. Mamo is your personal finance agent. It's an AI agent that helps people new to crypto use Moonwell. And basically, the way you could kind of think of Mamo is as your personal finance companion. And Mamo's designed for everyone, not just people that use crypto apps like Moonwell today. So if you've ever tried to explain to someone in your family or a friend how to use Moonwell, I think you've experienced that. Even though Moonwell is one of the most easy to use apps in the world, especially in the DeFi space, it's still hard to explain to someone that doesn't use crypto how to get onboarded, right? How to get a wallet, how to get set up. And so Mamo's designed to be, a personal finance companion for everyone, for the rest of us that don't know how to use crypto. And we think this solves a big problem in the space. And more importantly, Mamo can also put your portfolio on autopilot and help make sure you're earning the best rate across the Morpho vaults and the Moonwell markets. You've probably noticed that sometimes the rates are better in the market and sometimes they're better in the vault. Mamo puts your portfolio on autopilot. So, just to give everyone a little bit of the backstory, the entire Moonwell team basically, and a few contributors from Tribes, who's another kind of Coinbase alumni project, met up at the Coinbase AI Hackathon February 1st. We had a real fun time building a prototype of Mamo. We called it Mamoriko, which was kind of an anime character. We had a blast that weekend. We took the grand prize from both the Virtuals, that's the largest AI agent platform, and Coinbase. And then after the hackathon, we heard so much good feedback from everyone that was there, even the other agent creators. Everyone was telling us, if this was a product, we would totally use it. This is a product that needs to exist. I think everyone in the space kind of that's been using DeFi apps for a while, you've probably experienced where you might know how to use apps like Moonwell or Uniswap or Aerodrome or, pick your favorite DeFi app. But when you explain to your friends how to use it, even your friends that might trade crypto, they kind of don't understand it or it's too complicated. So this really resonated and we decided to make a product out of it. And so that's Mamo that just launched last week. But I wanted everyone to know that as we thought about launching Mamo, first of all, this is basically an extension of Moonwell. I don't want anyone to be afraid that, Moonwell contributors are losing focus because Mamo is basically a new interface to the Moonwell protocol, the same decentralized protocol that is, governed by the Moonwell DAO that has over 100,000 token holders. And so Mamo will just bring more TVL and more users to Moonwell. And that's a great thing for the Moonwell community more broadly. But also, we wanted to launch the Mamo token, and the Mamo token will reveal more about its purpose in the coming days and weeks. But we wanted to make sure that the Moonwell community and those of you that have supported us for so many years, Moonwell's been live for about 3 years now, that all of you, kind of shared in our success as a community. And so the only circulating supply of Mamo right now is the airdrop and the liquidity pools that were created on Aerodrome and Virtual's platform, and those pools are both locked forever. So basically, you can be assured that the only people that actually have Mamo right now are the airdrop recipients themselves, and 70% of that airdrop, which is 10% of the total supply, went to STK well stakers, and well holders. So that's basically Mamo's gift to you, the community, for being such strong supporters of us for so long. And so just want to thank everyone. Part of the airdrop also went to Virtuals stakers and to Arrow stakers and to meme holders. That's memecoin.new project on Base, which is a memecoin launchpad. The only no Mamo has been sold to VCs or to anyone, and it's all just an airdrop to the community that birthed Mamo. So if you haven't yet checked your claim, and if you have or if you've used Moonwell or if you have staked well, please go check the airdrop claim. It's on Sablier, and you should be able to claim your airdrop. And then, we're really excited about building out Mamo over the coming days and weeks. Right now, the only feature live is a USDC account where you can deposit USDC, and Mamo will make sure you're earning the best rate across the the Moonwell flagship USDC vault that's on Morpho, or the Moonwell core USDC market on Base. But in the coming weeks, you'll see us launch new strategies for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, and other markets and vaults. So couldn't be more excited about that. Would love to hear your feedback. I don't want to talk too much about it though, although it's an exciting time for us. We're still really focused on Moonwell, and you will see some really cool new features launching this summer, including I would encourage you to watch a video that I just recorded with Optimism. I think it's in my pinned tweets. You can watch a video about what's coming up with the superchain and with interoperability and what that's going to mean for Moonwell. And then I want to also introduce a new risk manager that is joining the Moonwell community, and that is Anthias Labs. And so they've just recently started doing risk recommendations on Base. And I would encourage you to kind of take a look at their recommendations. I really appreciate their thoughtful approach to risk management. I'll let Charlie and the team introduce themselves, but they've been doing risk management for several years for some of the largest protocols in the space. They're currently doing risk management for one of the largest stable coins on Hyperliquid, if you're familiar with Hyperliquid. And they have a really solid team. And I really like reading their analysis because it includes macro analysis about things that are happening in the macro economy, like the trade war and how that's impacting crypto markets. I would encourage you to check it out if you're interested in that stuff. And then I want to introduce Darren Mims, who joins the Moonwell community full time now. He has previously been a super delegate, 0x Mims. You probably know him from the forums. Darren is now joining as a governance lead, and he will be taking a more senior role in the governance process and helping to facilitate governance. So he's going to give you some updates and introduce himself. Why don't you go ahead, Darren?
I think you're good to go, Darren.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, as Luke said, my name's Darren. I also go by 0x Mims on the forums. You've probably seen me on the forums already. I've helped coordinate and propose a lot of the asset listings in the past. And so I have been graciously onboarded as the governance lead and contributor to the DAO in a greater capacity. So you will see me a lot more as things progress. For those of you unfamiliar with me, I am a strategist consultant at Blockworks, and I was with the Franklin DAO/Penn blockchain people in the past. And my most recent contribution was the USDT 0 proposal to list USDT 0 as collateral in the Moonwell core markets. And just like some background there, since I wasn't able to provide it last month, but USDT 0 is a omni-chain stablecoin enabled by Tether, Layer 0, and Anthias Labs. It uses or it leverages Layer 0's messaging standards in tandem with Tether reserves and Anthias Labs proof of reserves oracle. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To make a long story short, if anyone has any concerns about the DAO or any questions or any ideas for proposals, please come to me or DM me over Telegram, reach out any way possible, even like DM me on the forums if that's your preferred method. So moving on, I want to separately touch on some asset listings that I think could be in the purview of the DAO over the next coming months. So Luke alluded to this on the forums under the post Coinbase new assets for collateral. You can see more there, but the general idea is that Coinbase is onboarding a few new assets. These would be Coinbase XRP, Coinbase Doge, Coinbase Cardano, and Coinbase Litecoin. So these assets are wrapped in a similar method to Coinbase's CBBTC. And so they have the backing of Coinbase reserves, which helps their trust substantially. And we've already seen great success from CBBTC within the base core market. And so these assets are in relative demand. And while they aren't Bitcoin, they are desirable, right? And so some of these assets have large institutional liquidity already. And you probably know that Ripple, for example, is quite well funded and has institutional clients and has had quite the number of triumphs lately on the legal side. And so personally, my only concern here is DEX liquidity and concentration, but we'll see that ship sail at a later time. And I would encourage delegates to take a look at these assets. It would be ideal if someone could investigate further and draft up some asset listings, and we could iterate on them moving forward so that the information is properly conveyed to everyone. Yeah, those are the points that I mainly wanted to touch on for today. Thank you for your time, folks.
Perfect. Thanks, Darren. Congratulations on your new role. Great to work with you in a more official capacity here. So thanks for those updates as well. And from there, we'll throw it to Anthias. I believe that's Charlie in the team. Either you want to speak?
For sure. Yeah, guys, great to be here. Thank you for having us. This is Charlie. I'm one of the co-founders of Anthias Labs. We've been pretty long time Moonwell supporters and followers. And so it's just, really an honor of the DAO to take us on as joining on the risk side. And we're really excited to be working, starting on the base markets, hopefully expanding from there. As Luke alluded to, our approach to risk tends to start from fundamentals around kind of the greater macro market, everything happening on that side, analysis on that piece, and then also how that flows into, the more granular levels of, specific things around collateral risk or DEX liquidity or DEX liquidity on other markets and how that's affecting Moonwell directly. So we're really excited to be joining Moonwell. I've got Chris from our side here too. And then, I'll have a few other guys that I'm sure you'll all meet in the forums or in Twitter spaces around. But my DMs are always open. So if you see anything that we post and you have a question or have a certain question around greater market risk on Moonwell or your own position, feel free to ping me whenever, and we're happy to help you directly on anything. So, great to be here and great to be with you guys.
Hey guys, Chris here. It's nice to meet you all. I'll be here in the forums. I'll be the man behind the forums, writing them all up with some help from our team, of course. But we're excited to work with Moonwell. We've been with them from afar for a little bit now, and just excited to get started.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I had a look at the sample report you guys provided. Yeah, I was very, very happy to see that the proposal passed. Yeah, welcome. Andrew, if you're here and you're ready, Andrew is here from Gauntlet to give the monthly updates.
Awesome. Yeah, Andrew here from Gauntlet. I'll review our May risk parameter recs, our interest rate updates, and supply cap changes. Let's go ahead and start with base. And regarding the USDC interest rate curve, we're proposing reducing the multiplier from 0.015 to 0.049. All other parameters for the IR curve remain unchanged. Main rationale here being that the DSR has continued to drift lower. So we're trimming the slope by 25 basis points to keep borrowing competitive and lift utilization. This should reduce borrow APRs at kink from about 4.63, which is current, to 4.41. We hope this will stimulate some demand, and we hope this will drive some more USDC borrowing on Moonwell. Moving over to BTC and virtual curves. For CBBTC, LBTC, and TBTC, we're moving the kink from 35% to 70% using the same slope parameters. This allows borrowing up to a 70% utilization without quick rate spikes. Should be about 4.9% APR kink. For virtual, we're doing the same, moving the kink from 45 to 60% to support higher utilization with smoother pricing. No changes to WETH currently. Utilization sits just below kink, and we want to monitor the markets to make sure that we have consistent user demand before we affect the IR curve there. Some proposal to IR curve changes there. We have a few collateral factor updates as well. Currently for our ETH, the CF sits around 81%, and we're proposing moving it down to 78%. Currently looked at some of the largest positions on Moonwell, and excluding most of the large looping positions, we believe the slippage here would be manageable, but we do want to note that moving the CF down from 81 to 78 would result in, I think, a small position being liquidated. So $6 and borrow would be liquidated. So please check your accounts if you're using RETH on Moonwell. Also looking at proposing Morpho reserve factor change from 30 to 35%. Just noting that the Morpho supply has doubled on Moonwell, and while utilization has softened, we believe this extra 5 percentage points of interest rate to reserve kind of strengthens the buffer there. So kind of some rationale there. Moving over to wrapped RSETH, proposing moving the supply cap from 200 to 1,000. We initially reduced it whenever the RSETH incident occurred. The Kelp team, we chatted with them. Their incident has been resolved. The excess, minted Kelp has been burned, so we're resuming normal operations here and proposing restoring the cap to reopen growth there. And then lastly, on base, looking at also upping the Morpho supply cap from 2 million to 4 million. Current cap has been 90% utilized for a while now. We believe that liquidity tests show decent slippage here on non-looping unwinds. So doubling the cap here should support further growth on Moonwell. That's it for base. Moving over to Optimism. Same thing for wrapped RSETH supply cap on Optimism, proposing moving back from our lowered amount of 20 to 400. This just mirrors our base here as our recommendations are aligned with the normal operations restoring a Kelp. And then also we've got a stablecoin multiplier we want to update here, propose moving from 0.0515 to 0.049, just to keep optimism rates aligned with base in the broader DeFi market. Again, not making any changes to the WETH IR curve here. Still going to monitor the markets as utilization is pretty steady near kink, but we want to see a consistent user demand before we implement any more changes. So I think that's it for Optimism. Moving over to Moonbeam, we do have some changes here just to reduce borrow caps for assets on Moonbeam to simplify overall protocol management and kind of reduce some of the risk exposure here. We do have some changes for Wrapped Glimmer, moving down from 3 million to essentially 0, XC USDC from 1K to 0, USDC on Wormhole 60,000 to 0, and then Frax 5,000 to 0. Just noting that there's a lot of excess cap space here that hasn't been filled, so we just want to reduce overall risk exposure for the protocol. All the other ones remained unchanged currently. There are a few other changes for collateral factors here. Looking at Frax, moving down from 39 to 31%, Wrapped Glimmer moving from 51 to 47%, XC USDC 50 to 45%, XC USDT 60 to 55%, and then USDC Wormhole 17 to 14%, and Wrapped BTC Wormhole from 9 to 6%. We do note that reducing the collateral factors here could potentially liquidate about $10,000 as supply and $1,000 in borrows. So please check your positions, and the affected addresses here, if this is implemented, are listed on the forum. So you can always look back and see if your position is one of the potentially affected ones. So please top up your collateral if you're close to a health factor of 1. A few other small changes on Moon River, kind of in line with Moonbeam here, moving to the Frax borrow cap from 125K to 0. Cap is really far above demand. Just want to reduce risk exposure here. And then Wrapped Mover from 4,000 to 0. Utilization has been pretty low here, so we want to make sure we kind of rein in the risk. Overall, May updates aim to raise efficiency where liquidity supports it, often stablecoin borrow APRs to match market rates, and tighten exposure on some of the thinner ecosystems like Moonbeam and Moon River. So if you have any questions, please comment in the forums, and we'll follow up as soon as possible. But yeah, I think that's it for me. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, the call this month will likely be short and sweet. So again, if anyone has any questions in the audience, we have a great set of speakers here, so feel free to request to speak. And also for the speakers, if you have any extra points you want to touch on, you can cut me off.
While you're waiting for people to come up, just feel free to ask any questions about Superchain interoperability if you're interested in learning more. Just to give you an update on that, I just want to give a quick update there. So you probably saw that video that went out. If you haven't, it's pinned to my tweets, and I think we also tweeted from Moonwell DeFi, or Crystal tweeted that out. But in any case, just wanted to let everyone know that Moonwell is one of the premier applications that's going to be part of the Superchain interoperability launch this summer. We're not sure exactly when that's going to be, but hopefully sometime this summer. Interoperability launches, which means tokens can now flow between Superchain layer 2s in a trustless way, where you basically just happens at a sequencer level. So 2 seconds later, your tokens end up on another network, and we're going to use this capability to build a cool new feature we call Beam. For those of you that have used Moonwell for a long time, you're probably familiar with the USDC Anywhere feature. It's a great feature that lets you lend and borrow USDC on 6 different Ethereum networks. The challenge is that it's pretty slow when you're going between layer 2s. It's about 20 minutes or so for the tokens to transfer. We have to wait for the finality on the beacon chain down to mainnet Ethereum. So Beam is a feature we hope to launch this summer as well, alongside the Superchain launch, and that is the ability to basically lend and borrow more tokens than before. All the tokens that are cross-chain tokens. This would be tokens like ETH, tokens like CBBTC, tokens like staked ETH, and other derivatives like CB ETH, Rocket Pool ETH, as well as USDC and USDT 0 and others. It's pretty exciting because we think this will enable us to lend and borrow on all the things. And so if you're interested in watching and learning more, I'd encourage you to watch that video. That's going to be a really cool new feature. We think it'll be amazing because not only will you be able to on-ramp, from Coinbase on-ramp and from 40 different fiat currencies, but you'll be able to, deposit and borrow on all the networks. You don't really have to worry about where you are. So with that, do we have any questions that are here that would like to ask a question about, Moonwell or Mamo?
Yeah, feel free to request to speak. Maybe in the future, what we can do is just create like a monthly, questions thread in the forum, and then we can have, if for people that don't want to speak, we can answer those on the call as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, but if there's no questions, we can just end early.
I'll just make a couple quick final points here. So the next Gov call will be, again, it's always on the last Thursday of every month. So it should be June 26th here, looking at my calendar. So yeah, that'll be the next one. And again, thanks for the speakers. Officially welcome Darren and to the Anthias team. And yeah, if there's no final points from contributors or questions, we can go ahead and wrap early this month. All right. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.